I was always on the side of the poor and so on. And then when I was a teenager, being an anarchist and radical, I was totally against the system, you know. But when I started to change, you know, I mentioned that incident in the restaurant in Belgium, which is very important for me because I think from then I started to change a wee bit in the way I saw people, and
What age were you when that story in the restaurant
I was probably
happened?
about 19, 20.
1920.
Okay. And I started to see things that it wasn't necessarily what you saw that was as an appearance was important, but what people carried inside, that was really the important thing, what a person carries inside of them, you know. And so my idea started to change. But over time, yeah, I've moved a bit to the right. I think that happens to a lot of people, you know, as they get older. They start left and they move to the right. Curiously enough, my daughter sent me one of these Facebook things. She said, "Dad, you've got to fill this in because this tells you politically where you are." It's a list of questions. So I started filling in, and it turned out that on some of them I was really right wing, on others I was really left wing. But at the end of the day, when they added them all up, because they add them all up, it turned out I was quite towards the center, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where I think I've been, actually, in the center there. In some ways, I'm very right wing. In other ways, I'm quite left wing.
In what ways would you consider yourself right wing?
Well, I don't believe in the, shall we say, in the dictatorship of the proletariat, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, when I worked at Hackney swimming baths as a lifeguard, there used to be, that was in London, and I don't know if you're familiar with London, but that was a working class swimming bath that employed not quite a large number of people, about 40 people, because there was 2 swimming pools, steam baths, restaurant, laundry, and that's where the Cray brothers, the gangsters, used to go and have their baths upstairs. And I was, because of my accent and who I was, I used to get, they were never quite trusted me, and one day the shop steward came up to me and he said, next week we're going on strike. And I thought, great, you know, free holiday. Don't have to go to work. And he said, I just came in to check to make sure that you're with us and you're not going to cause trouble. And I said, no, that's great, that's fine. I said, I'm happy to go on strike. I said, what are you striking about? He said, well, they want to take 3 minutes off a tea break. And I just, so I thought, 3 minutes off the tea break, are they going to close down the whole place? You know, 40 people, they're going to close down the swimming pool. It was ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, I'm quite right wing, I would say. You know, I'm
I just lost you, Rupert.
this wokeism, this left-wing wokeism, I don't agree with that. And you know, on the other hand, you know, the immigration, well, I've always been of the opinion that immigration should be controlled in the UK, always. I think the people who are here, they should be treated decently and everything, and I think that's fine. But I think we have to have firm control of the borders. In all these senses, I'm a bit right wing. On the other hand, I'm for the National Health Service. I believe in nationalized industries for public services like trains and the post office. I think there should be a good benefit system. So I'm quite left wing as well, you know. Um, uh, so I'm a mix. I'm a mix.
Yeah. It seems to me that when it comes to the financial side of the house or economy, you are more on the left. But if it is about values and demographics and how people get together, then you'll be on the right. So that's, I think, where would you be yourself, and that's probably a um, challenging place because you're gonna be beaten by both sides.
Yeah, well, I believe, and for me, this is at the sum of it, really, the important thing. You see, I know that in the West, here in Europe, where you are in Ireland and where I am in the UK and maybe in Europe, that it's not perfect. It's far, far from perfect, and it's full of mistakes and difficult things and so on. But I think I can't think of anywhere better that you're going to be at if it's a cake.
Yeah,
You know that thing in the Russia, the
yeah,
cake of the layers. We are the wedding cake. Well, we are Europe, the democratic system, even America is at the top of the cake. You know,
yeah,
and there's nowhere better. And so I believe in preserving that. I believe in preserving democracy and preserving the people's rights and defending people's so so the way of life, where you don't get called to, where women have rights and you don't go to jail because you say the wrong thing and all this. I believe in all that, and I think it should. We've got to preserve it. But I think there is a segment of society that people that don't, they're not maybe not deliberately, but they don't believe, they're always biting the hand that feeds them,
yeah,
and they it's being undermined from within. And so in that sense, I think that's really the nut of it, the nub of
mm,
it, sorry, the nub of it, that yeah, there's nothing else. There's nothing. We're the best. It's the best we've got. The systems we live under.
yeah,
I know
100%.
what it's like in these other countries. I've been there. I've traveled in them, lived in them.
Yeah,
I know what Spain was like when Franco was alive. I know what Ecuador was like when I was a kid.